go. All right, let me switch over. I'm going to go to speaker view and I'm going to go over and pin my video. Cool. All right, everybody. Welcome to the review session of the Hackathon, Doc versus the World. We are here with Jose and Max. Max from 100 Days of No Code. He's guest starring. My goodness. You know how much we had to pay him to be here in attendance today? Today, we're going to be going over the voice experience. We're going to be talking about True Reply, and we have the CEO, Jose, talking about what True Reply is, and we're going to be going over the different candidates. We're looking at the very best experiences that were completed during the hackathon. So that's what we're going to be doing in this session. If you are wondering about voice experiences, wondering about no code, all of those things, put it in the chat section down below, and we're going to be talking about that. So we'll get things started. Jose, how are we doing today? What's going on with you?
We're doing fantastic. We're facing a bit of a snowy day here, but other than that, it's great.
Good times. Good
It's
times.
good to be here, man. Thank you, Doc.
No worries. And thank you for being here with us. So tell us a little bit about, if you could just overview True Reply and talking about what the platform is, and then I'll kind of talk about the challenge, and then we'll go into the candidates that finished the hackathon. How about that?
Yeah, totally. The quick elevator pitch, it's 1 or 2 sentences. We're a no-code platform for launching voice experiences on Amazon, Alexa, and Google Assistant. So think of, first of all, your voice experiences, think of them kind of like your mobile app on your phone, right? So these devices, Amazon, Alexa, Google Assistant, Samsung, Bixby, they all have a version of that, right? A version of an app on the device. True Reply basically helps you sit down and it could literally be minutes. You go from idea to launching with zero code. And then you can really level up your voice experiences with integrations like with Zapier, which we'll talk a bit about today, and customizations of those experiences to create like deeper, more interesting things to happen. But yeah, that's what we are building, who we are.
All right. Awesome. Good times. This is excellent. So now we're going to be talking about, we're using the power of this powerful platform, True Reply, and then we're actually having it for a hackathon, what we did over the weekend. So if you are just joining us or you didn't hear about the hackathon or what's all the details, very briefly, the hackathon, Doc versus the World, we have a 72-hour hackathon that we had, and the hackathon had to do with creating a voice experience. That's the whole point. And after 24 hours, I would enter the competition, and I too could take part because I'm trying to get that prize money. I'm trying to get all of the credentials and the accolades and really motivate and help the community too. So what we had in this competition, in this hackathon, different ones that were wondering how to use voice experience, how they could start building their own app, their own voice experience, or their own business were really taken a task to do this. There were many people that entered to ask about what they could be doing, but we're going to be highlighting the ones that have finished and the ones that really stood out. So we invited, first of all, Jose, to talk about the platform, what was good, what went bad during this time. And then also we invited he has been called the no code king by many on different programs in his fellow country. He has now been speaking to different startups, different groups and everything. That's why we had Max on the program, to bring some legitimacy to this voting process. So and Max doesn't know everything to do with this platform or this competition, so he's a bystander. He is not swayed by public opinion, so we have him on this program. So, Max, thanks so much for being here.
Sure. No, good to be here. Yeah, I certainly don't give myself the accolade of being the no-code king. I don't know where that's come from, but
you know what I love though, Max? You don't deny it. You say, I didn't label it, but you never say that you're not. So that's totally fine.
It's not mine, but I'm going to own it.
Yeah. I can't complain. Let's just say that. But no, good to be here. Yeah, looking forward to learning more about voice apps and voice experiences, because this is new territory for me. So yeah, going to learn a lot from you guys today.
Good times. So and just real quick, just the ending part before we get into this. Max is going to be weighing in, but again, we're having a section where we're going to be reviewing the voice experiences. This is what we're doing today. And for you to get context and really learn about what's possible for different voice experiences. And then there's going to be a public voting section for the rest of the week. But Jose brought this up too as we were talking about this. Like, how can you vote if you don't know the full scale or understand or hear the voice experience? I was like, yeah, that's kind of true. Maybe we should do this. So we're going to be going through this briefly so you can understand. Then there's going to be a link in the description section. And if you're part of the Discord, if you're on YouTube, whatever, you're going to be able to vote. And then you're going to have the panelists be able to vote as well. So think about the NBA All-Stars or any kind of competition. You're going to have a voting system for the public, but also you're going to have the panelists be able to have a weighted score as well. So no matter if you had different ones that finished their voice experience, they could not get their grandmother, their cousin to vote for them, and then they could win the competition. It's going to be a portion of the score, but the panelists also have a weighted score. So then we see who would be awarded the winner of Doc versus the World. So saying those things now, Jose, tell us about what's going to be next. Are we going to listen to the voice experience? Walk me through this.
Yeah. No, I think what would be a great thing for us to do, both from, obviously exposing the world to these voice experiences that were created, but also helping to educate a bit of the no-code community on some of the pitfalls, some of the things you might encounter in a platform like TrueReply, because these voice experiences were all built on TrueReply. And for all the ones we picked, there's just a little, there's just a little bit that needs to be tweaked to kind of, really wrap it up tight. And it's not, I don't think it's any contender's fault, let's say. I think it's just more of, if you haven't been in voice experiences for 2 or 3 years, or if you're not, if you haven't been banging at TrueReply for the last 2 years, it's just subtle things like that you just would have missed anyway. So I think for fairness for all, we'll go through each one, we'll tweak them so that they're kind of, put that period exclamation point at the end of that sentence for that voice experience. And then hopefully we'll, obviously we're recording all this. So this content at the end of every one, so we're going to introduce a voice experience. We're going to start it. We're going to go through it. We're going to talk a bit about both what we initially think, as well as what might be wrong, what might be tweaked. We'll tweak it and then we'll listen to it again. So we can listen to the, completed experience, right? And it's that completed experience that we're hoping the community votes on and the full panel will vote on at the end of the week. Does that make sense?
Love it. Love it. Love it. Yeah. Max, any questions you have before we go into this?
No, all good. Sounds good to me.
All right, let's do this. All right.
Awesome,
so
awesome.
Which one are we going to start with first?
I don't know, because I didn't want to I didn't want to deal with that decision. So what I did was I dropped a bunch of Post-it notes of names in this little bowl. I'm going to shake it up. I'm going to pull it out and we're going to dive in. I really didn't want to have the pressure of that decision. So I took myself out of the equation.
That was smart thinking. I was just going to if my default is, if I don't know what to do, I was just going to have Max do it and decide. So you took him out. All right, that's fine. Less pressure. All right.
All right.
So, where are you at?
So I just pulled it out. You saw me pull it out. So it's not my fault. But the first one up is Doc.
I didn't pay.
All right.
I didn't do any of those things. You saw it was fair, people. All that.
All right. So am I able to share my screen?
Sure. Yeah.
I'm gonna want to share my screen when we actually tweak stuff out, so we can see, what that experience is like of updating these things.
Yeah, you're good.
So if you just give me that opportunity, I'll set things up on my side here.
Yep. You're a co-host, I think.
Cool. Started. Awesome. All right. So first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna launch it. We're gonna go through the experience as Doc envisioned, and then go from there. So I've got a little Echo Spot here, which is the tiny one with the screen, not commercial, not promoting, not doing a product placement or anything, but that's the one we're using. And we made sure before we went live that you can hear all this, because I don't want to lift this up to the camera every single time. So let's kick it off. It is, what was your voice experience? Actually, you know what? Since you kind of gathered all of the entries, so you got a sense of what each person was envisioning when they started this, right? So maybe it would be cool to, let's start with that, kind of intro the voice experience, see what actually turned out, and that gives us a good back and forth. What do you think?
Yeah.
Any good idea?
So
All
talk
right, so
about.
let's start with you. Tell us what was it called?
Well, okay, this is the problem, Jose. I did two. So the first one, the one that I was thinking about, this is probably idea or like business ideas, like no code business idea. There'd be like some kind of name. I don't know the exact one that I had, but I think it was I think
Okay,
it
let
was
me help you
online
out here.
business idea. The idea was basically allowing me to find out how I can help others go from idea to online business, depending on what kind of business they're trying to create online. So if they're trying to do online courses, if they're trying to do a productized service, if they're trying to launch an app, my idea was I wanted to find out what they were trying to do, what they were struggling with, how would they rate their pain points, and then also, do they have the ability and the willingness to invest in themselves to start on this road. So the experience will be, and I guess we'll just go through the experience because later on we'll talk about the conditions and how I set up the app. Is that okay, Jose?
Yeah, you can stop there.
Okay. Cool.
So that was your vision. That's what you hope to achieve. So let's see.
Yeah.
Let's see how phase one of that turned out. Let me see here. I got a couple of things going on here. Sorry. I was turning off my heat while you were talking because it's getting hot in here. It's getting hot in here. All right. All right. So it is, I think it's called No Code. Let me just look it up. No Code Business Coach. All right. So Echo, open No Code Business Coach.
Hello. We are excited to hear your feedback today. Are you ready to get started?
Yes.
What kind of online business are you trying to create?
Online e-commerce store.
What kind of online business are you trying to create?
Okay.
That's interesting.
Exit.
What kind of online business are you trying to create?
Exit. Okay. So there's a quick hiccup, right? So we got our welcome message. You set that up great. You had your first question. Hey, what is it you want to create? But then it kind of got stuck, and we're going to look at why it got stuck, right? Do you have suspicions why it got stuck, Doc?
So I was wondering, so this is when I was going into the features and I picked having different keywords for it to look for. And so I had a set of specific keywords. I'm assuming that when I had it, maybe I didn't put the right like portion of listen to what it has. If they don't have this, keep going. So I was wondering, I was thinking my voice experience that it was just going to pick up those. And then if it was a different answer, it was just going to let the person say it. So I'm assuming that's where the hiccup is. Am I right? Or
You're pretty close. You're almost like right on top of that needlehead. So first of all, what Doc is leveraging is known as response handling within TrueReply. It basically allows you to set up quite a number of things within our platform. One thing is logic branching, which is kind of what he's trying to leverage here. Another thing might be dynamic scoring, which I know he tried to leverage. I don't know if it was on this one. Actually, he's doing some dynamic scoring on this one. And a couple of other things. You could skip around. You could use response handling to skip around to other questions. You could use it to trigger SMS alerts if you're at the agency level. You can use it to send, to do live operator routing, all this kind of cool stuff. But let's focus on what Doc was trying to do. So with this first question, what kind of online business are you trying to create? What you're trying to capture here, Doc, right, is and correct me if I'm wrong. I'm throwing this out there because I'm looking at the way you set it up. What you're trying to capture is what kind of business they're trying to create, and you just want to score that. You don't really care what they say, but you want to score it, and you want to score certain things higher than others, possibly. Is that fair to say?
Exactly.
Okay, awesome.
Why are you trying to score things higher than others?
That's a good question. So the reason I was trying to score this, and by the way, we've got all kinds of people in the chat. Thank you so much for being here. Bob Ross, love it. So thank
you
you
Bob
so
Ross?
much. Maybe, but thank you so much for watching. So when we're looking at this, I thought that I can work with very specific types of businesses, and I know which ones I work better with. So I had a different score system.
Okay.
So
See,
in my
you wanted them to like kind of pick like one more than the other, essentially, to like funnel them down a path where you have more content.
And for me to, and you'll see it later in the other paths, I had different scoring mechanisms of if they're like ready to go, if they have like, are they making money? I was having a composite score of then they would be the best client for me. Because if they didn't have, if they say, I want to create an app, and then I'm like, is this a pain point? They're like, nah, it's not really a pain point. And then I'm like, and also too, do you have the money to start? And they're like, I'm not making any money. I'm like, I'm going to have to send you like my YouTube channel, all of these resources. They probably wouldn't be ready for group coaching because they're not at that level. That was my thought process when I was going through that. So that's why I wanted them. And to me, I scored, I think, let me see if let me do this. For mine, I had, drop shipping, I had to rank lower because I can teach drop shipping, but I'm like, the margins are going to be lower. They're not going to make as much money versus if they do a productized service, a marketplace or online business, I'm like, or online course, I'm like, the profit margins are so much higher.
Sure.
They're a better fit for my clientele. And that's why I have the ranking system.
Got you.
But if just like how Jose was talking about it, I was like, oh, he said something different. I was like, oh, and then I thought if it was any other experience, they would just get a 0 score and it wouldn't matter. That was my thought process.
Got you.
Okay. Awesome. So you're kind of hinting at why we got stuck there, right? Which is the sense of you've identified some specific businesses you'd like to score. But then you didn't, there's two ways to go about this, right? There's that, all right, what if the business they're trying to start, what if her business isn't in my buckets, that I'm looking for, right? How do we handle that? So there's two ways looking at this that we can set this up. The first way is usually when we're doing just scoring, right? Where we just want to score responses, we actually turn this option here, the response validation option. We actually just turn it to off because we're not actually doing any routing, right? We're not actually saying, okay, if they say online course, I'm going to ask them this set of questions, even though you could. That's not the way you set this particular experience up. So you don't really need to leverage that. So what we could do is just shut off response validation. It's still going to do the scoring when we collect the data on these specific answers, and anything else, it just won't score, right? Now, the only reason we'd want to keep that on is if you wanted to specify, these are the only businesses I want to have these, have users participate in the rest of this voice experience, right? So if people answer something other than online course, productized service, marketplace, app, e-commerce, dropshipping, or dropshipping keywords, if they answer anything other than that, they don't need to answer the rest of this because really they're not my focus. So I'll tell them, thank you for participating and goodbye. You could do that, and you would do that by turning this back on and just making sure, and I'm actually going to do this. I'm going to turn it back on, and I'm actually going to add what we call a zero phrase keyword, which is exactly what it sounds like. We leave the keyword key phrase entry empty. You can score them if you want, but you can also leave that empty. And then you just use the skip to next step. Right. So regardless of what to say, we're going to take them to step 2. We'll sort them out later. So we're going to add that keyword. And that's kind of like your catch-all, right? So if they don't say any of these other things, we're going to catch them with this, and we're still going to move them forward. So we can go about this either that way, the way we just have it set up, or we can take it out, or we can just shut off response validation altogether. So
that makes sense.
I don't have a preference either way. I'm just going to simplify it. So I'm going to take this out, and I'm just going to shut off response validation. So let's test that out. And there's one more tweak we're going to have to make, but I want us to experience that so we kind of see how it manifests before we tweak it. All right. So we're going to launch this again. We've made our change. It automatically saves. It automatically, in real time updates to voice app. So what was it? Echo open no code business coach.
Hello. We are excited to hear your feedback today. Are you ready to get started?
Yes.
What kind of online business are you trying to create?
Pet store.
On a scale of 1 to 5, how satisfied are you with your income? 1 being not happy at all. 5 being I am very satisfied with my income.
3.
On a scale of 1 to 5, how satisfied are you with your income? 1 being not happy at all. 5 being I am very satisfied with my income.
Exit. Okay. Whoops. Tweak number 2. So we saw we got stuck there. And it's a similar reason for why we were stuck on the first one, which is we've set up response validation, but we don't have the other possible numbers. 1, 2, 3. So because of that, response validation, the goal of response validation is really to bring a quantitative opportunity to a qualitative experience, right? So you can mix these things together. And when you have questions where you want to collect 1 to 5, you want to make sure they don't say chocolate chip cookie. You know what I mean? So that's kind of a big reason why response validation exists among some of the other cool things you can do with it. So similar to how we did with number 1, what I would, since it seems, and Doc, correct me if I'm wrong, that you just want to really rank people that do 4 or higher. Does that make sense?
Correct. I don't mind. I wanted to gather the information if it's lower, but I just wanted the ranking of 4 and 5. That's it. Because to me, I was thinking if their income, if they're not really feeling it with their income, what's the point of them wanting to do this? So I was looking for the 4 or 5 to be in that second bucket, or being
if I'm totally satisfied with my income, why would I why go through the program, kind of thing, right?
Yep.
All right, so what we're gonna do, we're just gonna do the same thing we did on the first one, which is turn it off. Right now, the thing so we've got this in a couple of spots, right? So let's deal with that first, because you actually set it up on each of them. So we're just going to turn all those off that had that 1 to 5 scale, right? Cool. All right, so now we can go through this, and it'll go through and it'll wrap up. But I do want to take this opportunity to kind of remind people of one thing, which is when you're launching voice experiences, because we support so many different devices, right? Amazon Alexa devices, Google devices, and so on. You actually, how an answer gets sent back by these providers can vary. So in other words, if I say 2, I can receive it as either a number 2 or the word 2, as in TWO. So what we do want to capture both of those instances. So for this, I'm just going to do it for the first one, just to show you. We would do 4, 4, 4, any kind of variation that you can think of. The great thing about a platform like To Reply, like ours, is we can make these changes on the fly. So if we're getting participants and we know we're going to collect all the answers, right? So we're going to be able to see, hey, are we missing, FORE when we know they mean 4? Yeah, we're missing that. So we can jump in here, we can add it, and it won't impact much. It'll take effect immediately. So what score did you want to give these folks that hit 4? Do you remember? I could just close out. I just close out. It was rank of 5. Okay. So I'm just going to pop this in here, give it a 5, and Bob's your uncle there. And then we're going to do the same. Since we're on this question, we're just going to do the same thing for 5. You really just need both. I'm just going to put that one. This one also got a rank of 5. So now we've captured the word 5 as well as the number 5. And again, you can enter them one by one, or you can enter them by comma separated. There's kind of a nuance to setting up these scores, which we're going to talk about with, I think it's James' experience. So I don't want to talk about it now. So we're going to leave it here. So basically we're done. And from what I saw and what I can see, we should be able to go through the Doc versus the World voice experience from to back. So let's start it up. Echo, Open no code business coach.
Hello. We are excited to hear your feedback today. Are you ready to get started?
Yes.
What kind of online business are you trying to create?
Pet store.
On a scale of 1 to 5, how satisfied are you with your income? 1 being not happy at all. 5 being I am very satisfied with my income.
1.
Are you trying to create a side hustle or a full-time business?
Full-time business.
On a scale of 1 to 5, how much help do you need with your business? 1 being, I don't need help. 5 being, I need a lot help and as soon as possible.
5.
How would you like to use voice experiences in your business?
I'd like to extend my local pet shop so that people can order from my pet shop from their homes.
Thank you for leaving us your feedback. We truly value your feedback. Have a wonderful day.
That's it. We're good. Now, the only thing I would add here is number 2. I think you've got this backwards based on the scoring you set up. Right? Because if 1 is not happy at all, it's probably 1 you want to score, not the 5 where they're very satisfied. But that's it. But okay, so that's the doc versus the world voice experience completed.
Good times. Oh, there's one other thing too that we had. It was it's not anything big. We
Actually,
had a
you know what?
Zapier.
I'm sorry. Before you continue, one more. I'm actually going to go in here. I'm just going to switch that for you. Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to go into my engagement setup and say, what is the top one? Let's see. So 5 is not happy at all. And then the 1 is actually where they're totally satisfied. So I'm going to just change that real quick. It's saved, it's changed. Now it'll be, you know what I mean? It'll make sense when you do the scoring and you take a look at that. So sorry, Doc, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just wanted to, let's just get that out of the way. So you were saying?
No, thank you so much. No, and then also with that app, we had it connected with Zapier, and you know my trouble with having a hot mess of now I know how to reset and test for a trigger in Zapier correctly.
Do you want to share that little nugget of knowledge?
So, okay. All right. So what happened was we were talking about how to connect this with the integration with Zapier, and you can get all of your results in a Google row. So every time that someone submits this, then a new row would be added, and I could get all of those different details to kind of see what's going on, right? So when I did it the first time, I connected it, everything was good, but I clicked it and I only had question 3. And then Jose was in the chat trying to tell me how in Zapier, if you're going to launch it again to basically resync it, you have to go back into Zapier in the workflow, go back to that step, go and say retest, and then update the set of records that it's pulling to see the data. So I was doing it. I kept refreshing it. I'm like, Jose, I cannot keep just doing this. This is like insane. Like, why is this not working? And he's like, press the button. I'm like, there's no button. This is so stupid. And so I was like,
and I'm sitting online getting my vaccination while all this is happening. So the people around me must have been like thinking I'm crazy, because I am literally hysterically laughing because I'm talking to the video going, it's right there. Just move the mouse, just right there under test trigger. But yeah, when you go under, it's, you know, Zapier, when it brings some of that outside data, like a true reply endpoint, right? Like when you integrate this stuff, when it brings that data in, it's not real time. It brings in a snapshot of your data. So if you come in to true reply and change something, you open up a different question to Zapier, then you've got to go in and you've got to reset that data set. And that's kind of what was that missing piece that was causing a bit of hilarity.
It was a hot mess. It was a hot mess. So that took like 20 minutes. I was like, screw this. I'm just gonna start over, and then it will be fine. Also, too, we got Bob Ross out here trying to do some work out here First of all, he's giving you a lot of different you probably hear this all the time, Jose. We're getting all kinds of different references. He's like, what people look like on this panel. Bob, you're doing great things for us. By the way, so this is good. So he's saying the nav bar doesn't break at 1200 pixels. He's talking about the True Reply website. And I said, oh, okay, that's good to know. Listen, we love finding bugs and errors and everything. This is great. So we'll put that, and Jose's team is always on these things. So thank you so much. Also, if you care to notice, I can go through what his rendition of what's going on with the people. Bob, I honestly didn't think that you were going to be so insightful and so caring in this chat. So thank you so much and for watching. That's
thank
great.
you.
So this is pretty good. So we have that. Also, too, this is just a small tangent. If you don't mind, before we go to the next one, can we do this?
Yeah. No, whatever it is.
Bob, you got everything going on right here in the chat. So there's two things. So originally, when I was going through this experience, I was going to have it hooked up to Stephen Campbell's Bubble project and using Cynthia the Cynthia for AI. So it was going to be making videos based off of people's responses. But the issue was having the GPT-3, it has to go from text to then using the AI and everything. So he's like, if you're doing a voice experience, it couldn't do the direct correlation. So what we were going to do was possibly from the Google Sheet, connect the answers, and then it was going to do the Cynthia response and actually create a video with someone talking out what the responses were. So that was the thing. So originally, Stephen was going to be in the competition and talking about it, but he's like, I'm not comfortable. He's like, there's just too many steps in between. So that was going to be the second part of it, adding that layer.
Oh, so Cynthia has a private API that we might be able to bridge to, but not one on Zapier kind of thing.
Correct.
Right. Okay. So yeah, so you can use then Google Sheet as that intermediary. We do have the API and webhook integrations at the agency and enterprise levels, because we do actually do a lot of like AI handoff, right? So where there's a client that has their own developed AI, but they want to layer in a voice layer to it in a very easy way, but they want their AI to process stuff. And that's a big reason why we've got our webhooks and our private APIs to kind of facilitate that kind of stuff. So that's interesting to know and hear.
Yeah, that's awesome. Oh, one last thing too, and this was the other experience. And first of all, Jose helped all the way through. This was almost 6 hours. Jose kept jumping in, answering questions, going back. So this has been awesome. The second experience I had, but we could only do one or the other. So I was like, I am not destroying this, and then redoing another one. But it was going to be the voice experience for audio description marketplaces. And that has to do with ones that are impaired visually and they want to watch a movie and they want more than just the voice. They want descriptions of what's happening in the scene. To create a marketplace, instead of having a form where you would have to fill out a paper form, you're visually impaired, you're not going to be going through that or having someone do it. A voice experience would be ideal to create that kind of marketplace, because if I'm looking for a certain movie that I want described, you could have this as a voice experience, request the movie, and then I could get a voice actor to do the voice the voice description for the specific episode, show, or movie. So if you're looking for an audience to serve that is vital and in a need, ones that are visually impaired and looking for entertainment, I'm telling you, visual audio marketplaces, that would be my go-to if I was trying to create a business and use True Reply. I could literally run my entire business and marketplace using True Reply. And so that's where I would be going from that. Also, too, if you're in the chat,
it's 11 hours.
Oh,
Sorry.
I'm like, wait a minute. This is great with this program. No, but also to keep in mind in this, if you're looking to test this out, you're watching this, now you're seeing the capabilities of what's happening as we're going through these different projects, make sure that you can go to truereply.com. There is still a promotion that we have until March 1st. You can use the coupon code Doc versus the World and get started with your voice experience to try this out right now. So I'll be dropping the link, doing all of those things. It's open until March 1st. It's a highly discounted rate to try this out. And if you're interested and you see now what's possible, there you go. And I'll be dropping it in the chat in a little bit. Max, how do you feel about it? How are you doing with this? Does this make sense? What questions do you have?
Yeah, no, it does actually, surprisingly, like when you were going through it, Jose, it was making it was intuitive. One thing I was kind of thinking was, how do you like stress test your voice apps before you like go live with them, so that you don't have these kind of like things when your like users are first using them. So I kind of just wanted to know like the process behind testing your voice apps before you go live.
Yeah, we've got there's kind of 3 levels to this, right? One is everything we're doing, like Doc hasn't submitted his experience yet to Amazon, right? So we're doing this testing, we're kind of going back and forth, we're editing in real time so we can get it just right before we hit that, there's a launch button. All right, I'm going to answer this question, and then I'm going to answer a mystical question from what's today? Tuesday? From Sunday. I'm going to come back to that in a minute. But to answer your question, so there's the first phase, right? Before I launch it to Amazon, how can I test this stuff? This is how you can test it. What you're seeing right now is one of those, one of that test step, because you can go back and forth. You can tweak questions. You can check your response handling. Oh, is it doing what it's supposed to do? Similar to how, exactly what we did, which is why I wanted to kind of go through this flow the way we've been going through it. The second, kind of the second and third options available. The first one is kind of let's launch but not tell anyone, and only tell a subset of a community, have them bang in it, and then update it, right? The second option to that, which is what we help agencies with really, is we can actually, in the state it is right now, not submitted to Amazon yet, not open to the world yet, we can actually add beta testers. I think we have like 50 or 100 beta testers we can add for you on the Amazon side, for example, and I believe on the Google side as well, so that you can do a kind of a closed, so if you've got people in different regions and you just want to test different accents and different, culture responses, that kind of stuff, you could do that in that private closed environment. Got you. That's so you got kind of like, you've got those 3 options basically. Nice. So Doc, is there anything else? Because if not, we're going to move on to the next experience, but before we do that, so we had, Doc and I answered a mystery yesterday, because at the tail end of the stream yesterday, there was the big mystery of bunnies in a basket. So what happened is, and Doc, I don't know if you want to tell the story,
yeah, I mean,
how about you do the 5-minute version, and then I'll get the punchline.
Yeah. So basically, Dominic, if you're watching this right now, Dominic was one of the contestants for this competition, and we were building at real time as well. So Dominic had this voice experience, and he's going through this, had some different areas that he was working on. At the end, on Twitter, he put that he was ready to go. And looking down on my phone and looking in chat, it looked like to me that it was a basket full of bunnies. And I was like, Dominic, so like, what is your voice experience? He's like, I'm launching this stuff on Product Hunt, all this stuff. I'm like, bro, but like, what is with all of, like, what is the basket of bunnies? Like, what is your voice experience about? Doesn't answer me. He's like, I'm going to bed. And he's on UK time. So it's like, it was late his time.
Yes. And then like, when he's going back and forth, I'm in getting my vaccine shot. So I come out and I pop in, and I'm reading the chat about basket full of bunnies, and I'm asking Doc, what is this basket full of? It becomes this big mystery we're going back and forth about. And then Doc and I got on yesterday, and we're talking about it, and I'm like, oh, those aren't bunnies. what he sent a screenshot of, I'm going to show you now, is actually so here, this is the screen you see when your app dashboard is ready to go. So we got a little doggy there. He's all ready to party. It's not quite there yet because we still have to launch this skill and submit it to Amazon, right? So that's kind of what you see there. And this screen is replaced by insights and all this cool reporting and all the stuff on your app once it's live. But once you submit, you get a slightly different screen, which is not a basket full of bunnies, which is a screenshot that Dom sent over. It's a basket full of chihuahuas.
How was I supposed
Happy little
to know?
puppies, because everything is been submitted and we're just waiting for review.
I
didn't
get to that screen. Yeah, I didn't get to that screen yet, and that was the thing. I was like, okay, so I thought he was doing the thumbnail version of what I thought that was the icon that he was submitting to the Amazon. And I was like, why would he choose that? Like, I have no idea what is going on.
What is your voice experience about that you're using a basket full of bunnies?
And so he didn't know what was going on. He just wouldn't respond back to me. I said, I'm done with this. I'm done with this.
I just wanted to share that story because it really was a bit of hilarity. All right, so we did Doc. Let's see who's up next. So we've got a couple left in here. I think we'll have time to do 2 more.
Let's do it.
And then let's see who's next. So next up is the man of the hour, basket full of bunnies, Mr. Dom.
There we go.
Dominic. All right. So Mr. Dominic, he built the Hackathon Entertainment News voice experience. Doc really has kind of the background of these voice experiences. So can you share with us like the quick 2 minutes of what he had planned to launch as part of this challenge?
Yeah, so I believe I'm going to have to go to his Twitter thread when he had it. I believe his voice experience was getting you ready for, okay, Dom was saying a lot of things, so I have to go through and I don't want to butcher what he had, but I believe it had to do because Dominic does a lot with different challenges, creates a lot. And so as far as I recall, it had to do with that. I'm pulling up his Twitter thread right now to have this in detail so I don't butcher his entry. Jose, if you have it closer to you, that's fine. But I know it has to do with his ideas and being prolific when he's documenting all of his projects. But
I don't. But while you look that up, I can see here. It looks like what he launched was essentially a news and updates voice experience. Mm-hmm. And if we go in here to try to paste together some of the clues, we can look at some of his engagement info here. So it looks like he's got something about upcoming events, winning teams and solutions. So he looks like he's using some branching there, and he's either giving some updates or some actual like advice. That's my guess from what I'm seeing there. We'll see exactly what it is when we launch it. But that's what it looks like.
Okay, I've got it actually. I just went through it. So it's so his idea is to ship daily 60-second summaries of the best entrepreneurship and business clubhouse conversations. That's what I have. Now that was where he was starting with. As you can see, it sometimes, and you'll see the next person, sometimes your idea, you're pivoting in a hackathon, you're pivoting very quickly to decide what you're going to be doing. That's what I have as a description, but we'll see. We'll see.
But you know what? It happens not only in hackathons, it happens in life and in business. Sometimes we got to pivot, right? Yeah. Sometimes we got to, something that we're trying isn't working. So we go in another direction. So, all right. So that's what his voice experience looks like it's supposed to be. So I'm just looking up here to see how to, this is the invocation name here, Hacking Entertainment News. So let's launch it. Alexa, open Alexa. So my oldest daughter's name is Alexa, as I shared with you, Doc. So it took all of like 30 seconds about 10 years ago when we got our first Alexa in 2014. It was not 10 years ago, but it took about 30 seconds to have to change it. So obviously I just made that mistake. But all right, let's try this again. Echo, open Hackathon entertainment news.
Welcome to Hackathon Entertainment News.
Exit. Okay, so that's one of those things that I would put in the, you got to be a little familiar with true reply bucket, right? So it's what we have there is we've got a welcome message. The intention there being, hey, I launched your voice app, say hello to me, and then move on from there. Now, basically ask them, are they ready to just have the experience? Similar to what you heard Doc do with his experience, which is, hey, welcome to the experience. Are you ready to get started? Now, the reason we kind of include that as almost like a forced step is with voice, you have Alexa and Google Assistant in all sorts of devices. You got them in smart speakers, in TVs, in headphones, in cars. So you don't ever want to assume that when your experience starts up, that immediately they're ready to get started, or at least from an experience standpoint, we've learned that's not the best approach. So what you want to do is actually, introduce it and then say, "Hi, are you ready to get started, or are you ready to continue?" or something like that, so that they can let you know, I sent the kids to the back room. They're not screaming right now. I can talk to you. So we're going to go in here and we're actually going to just change his welcome message to do exactly that. So he's got welcome to Hackathon Entertainment News in here. So we're just going to add very quickly, are you ready to get started, right? Nice. Now I'm just going to hit enter to save that. And then we're going to try this again. Echo, open Hackathon Entertainment News.
Welcome to Hackathon Entertainment News. Are you ready to get started?
Yes.
Would you like to hear about upcoming events or winning teams and solutions?
Winning teams and solutions.
Green Prejudice is won the social good hack at Hack and Wellness and was aimed to reduce carbon emission by integrating blockchain technology to achieve a transparent and secure system for carbon credits transaction. We also provide easy one-tap QR transaction and a lot more features.
Exit. Okay, so what happened there, which it's a mistake that is made, is basically it's waiting for a response, right? So it gave us an update and now it's waiting for a response while we didn't actually ask any questions or prompt them to have a question. So with stuff like this setup where we've got an initial entry point with multiple options, it is good idea to kind of say, hey, do you want to try something else, or or do you want to hear our update or something like that, something that allows them to go back and maybe do something else, right? Like, we've got the My True Reply voice experience that lets you, with an Amazon Alexa device, it lets you request a new voice application, submit a support request, or request a demo. So after you're done with every one of those steps, it asks you, hey, is there something else you want to do? So what I would do here, I would, basically say, would you like to hear about upcoming events? So we don't necessarily have to take them to step one. We can actually, hey, you heard about winning and solutions. We'd like to hear about upcoming events. Sure. And now while we're here, why don't we, it's possible. So it's the same issue on the second one. So let's say, would you like to hear about winning, what was it? Winning solutions? Winning teams and solutions. Winning teams and solutions, right? So now at the end of every one of those messages, they'll get, hey, do you want to do the other thing? Now, if you've got like 10 things that they can do, obviously this specific approach won't work. You might instead want them to go back to the beginning and choose another option.
Jose, am I understanding it was pulling it's giving it, but that was option 3, or is it pulling it from an RSS feed and giving feeding it through? What I was missing that. Is that just the third option?
No,
Is
right.
that what it's doing?
Yeah, what he did is he actually just put the information in that third step. So he's using response handling to say, hey, if he says winning, if they say winning teams and solutions, give them step 3. If they say upcoming events, give them step 2. Which I'm actually going to play with now real quick. We're just going to set that up real quick because we added some questions and steps that we want to do some response handling with.
Gotcha.
So I updated my engagement plan here. So it's just telling me, hey, update your page before you try to manage your response handling. No big deal. So we're going to come in here. And now I'm going to actually, so then, I think the only part he was missing was actually putting a question at the end of there, right? Because he already had a catch-all here that says, hey, if they say anything, just end the engagement. So he was, he was there. He just needed he was almost there. So let's, we're going to take that off and we're going to do, actually, we're going to leverage this in an interesting way. We're going to use response must match one of the keywords exactly. So they're either going to have to say yes, they want to hear the winning teams and solutions. If they say anything else, we're just going to say thank you for participating, kind of thing, to make it easy. So I'm going to put in a yes here. We don't need scoring, but we are going to take them back to, we're going to take them to winning teams and solutions on this one. Right. So now if they say yes to would they like to hear about winning teams and solutions, we're going to let them hear winning teams and solutions. Now we're going to want to catch all. If they say anything else, we're just going to end the engagement. And that's really the way it is. You hit enter response, skip to optional step, leave it blank, leave everything else blank. And that's going to turn into an any response, and anything else they say besides the yes, they get their thank you message. So let's just do that same thing here to the third step. And just say, like, the reason we confirm these deletions and the reason kind of it feels a little bit stringent is actually because the response handling has a huge impact on user experience. And we want to make sure that, when you're messing around with it, that you're fully aware of what you're doing and the impact it's going to have. So we're going to do another yes here. And we're going to send this one to the Microsoft Team App Challenge. So now if they say yes on that, we also want to make sure this is on. And again, I'm not using the match any word like we did with docs or like we did on the first step. We're using a one-to-one. Like we want them to say yes, not, yes, I want chocolate chip cookies, not sure, not anything like that. We want to hear yes. And if they say anything else, we will just end the engagement. And that's about it.
Good times.
Let's try this out right now. Any questions before, or any questions, Max?
Not really. It's just fascinating. Like it just requires a different mode of thinking, really. Like I guess it's the same when you're configuring a website and you don't want a dead end, i.e. like a 404 or like a blank page. And in this sense, you just don't want there to be something they say that the voice experience doesn't pick up or understand or have catered for in the design of it. So it's kind of just being ready to have that back and forth and designing in that way. But yeah, it's just fascinating.
And what you're really hinting on and what you're really getting to is the idea of conversational design, right? And conversational AI, which we won't go into here, but really it's the way I try to simplify this for folks, for clients and whatnot is think of you're having a conversation with your favorite customer. How would you want that to go back and forth, right? You wouldn't just, in the middle of it, stand up and walk out. That'd just be rude. So it's kind of that at least sometimes helps to simplify the frame because, as Doc and I hit on the kickoff call, the biggest mistake you can make in leveraging a platform, in leveraging True Reply is overthinking it, right? Just think of it. This is the conversation. This is, this kind of stuff. And it's also what you're doing is not written in stone. Right. So if you're testing it through or users aren't having the greatest experience, you can find out why that is, come in here and in real time, in seconds, update that and all of a sudden it's approved. All right. So we made our changes. Sorry.
So just interested. So in the platform, can you see those dead ends and think, okay, so we need to add a branch here that responds to that question that isn't being answered at the moment?
Yeah, totally. And I think we probably went through this probably in our AMA a couple of weeks ago. So I'm not going to suck up a bunch of time giving you a demo of the platform. We can talk about it later and stuff like that. But yeah, there's the whole other side of this is after you've launched your voice app in like 10 or 15 minutes, it's all the reporting, it's all the insights, it's the data access. You've got all that stuff so you can figure out, oh, why aren't we getting this or why aren't we getting that, or and then improve and iterate super quick in real time, really.
Just real quick, just like to say, Bob Ross staying in the chat, trying to help out where he can, and he actually tried to sign up, I guess, for a meeting schedule somewhere on the site, and he was able to log in for 2 meeting slots. So he's like, there might be a default. He's like, he's not a malicious user, but he's like, a lot of people could take up those slots. And I said, hey, listen, man, thanks for finding this. Jose would love to know this. So listen, I'll screenshot you. I got all this conversation. Jose's got, Jose's
please
got,
shoot it
Bob
over.
Ross got all kinds of stuff in the chat today. So
thank you, Bob. You're awesome, man. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Just grab whatever he shares, and as Doc said, we like to we iterate quickly over here, so we can take care of things pretty quick. Cool. All right,
Doc, there's I just seen a tweet from James Burgess who's done a little kind of Loom video / bio on his idea. I'm not sure, but yeah, I just thought you should be aware. I've just popped it in the chat.
Cool. Oh, awesome. I hope he hasn't changed anything since I checked it before we got on the call, because that'll be interesting for our flow here, right?
Yeah, this should be good. Yeah, but thank you. Right. I didn't even know he did that. Thanks, thanks, James. If you're watching on Periscope,
thank you, James. All right, so we made our changes. We should be at a point where this is now the voice experience that is the final voice experience. It's the one that people should kind of put their votes on and stuff like that. So let's kick it off. Echo, open Hackathon entertainment news.
Welcome to Hackathon entertainment news. Are you ready to get started?
Yes.
Would you like to hear about upcoming events or winning teams and solutions?
Upcoming events.
In March, the Microsoft Team App Challenge, Georgia Tech $1 billion Startup Hackathon, and Bison Hacks 2021 will be occurring. Would you like to hear about winning teams and solutions?
Yes.
Green Credus has won the social good hack at Hack and Wellness and was aimed to reduce carbon emission by integrating blockchain technology to achieve a transparent and secure system for carbon credits transaction. We also provide easy one-tap QR transaction and a lot more features. Would you like to hear about upcoming events?
No.
Green Credus has won the social good hack at Hack and Wellness and was aimed to reduce carbon emission by integrating blockchain technology to achieve a transparent and secure system for carbon credits transaction. We also provide easy one-tap QR transaction and a lot more features. Would you like to hear about upcoming events?
No.
Thank you for listening.
Okay. So one of the things you might have caught there is I actually fixed that problem while I was actually still engaging with the voice experience, if you noticed that. So on these yes or no's where you have a yes and then an any response, actually you need the match any word in your user response, because then it won't be, otherwise it won't match that any other thing. It's going to look for an exact. So I changed that while we were actually using the experience, and we were able to close it off. So that's the Hackathon entertainment news voice experience that you get to vote on. All right.
Good times.
How are we doing? Any questions?
Yeah, no, I mean, well, what do you think about that, Max? I don't want to be talking too much. What do you think?
In terms of like just the experience and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's a cool way to, like, I don't know, I can envisage waking up in the morning, like having breakfast, and then like just getting like my like insights or like quick like news bites as I'm making breakfast or something, which I don't know, it's just quite a nice use case, and it's niche. So yeah, I like it. And the experience was pretty, like, I know there's a few hitches, but like, yeah, it was pretty there.
To me, I would even say this, and I mean, we don't have time, but and that's what I was asking for webhooks or an RSS feed, and then he wouldn't have to keep adding more and more. It would just pull it. And then if he's already like, hey, this is just a paragraph or whatever, bam, it just reads it right there. And it's a rinse and repeat. What do you think, Jose?
No, in fairness to Dom, Dom and I actually connected. I think it was Saturday. I forget. The last couple of days are a blur. He actually wanted to do, that's exactly what he wanted to do. He wanted to hook it into an RSS. But for this challenge, the level of access we gave all the competitors was our startup level, which doesn't have access to like webhooks and APIs and that kind of stuff that you might get at the agency level. So if he's if he takes home the challenge and he wins, he'll have access to all that functionality, and we'll help him kind of plug in those RSSs so he won't have to update in real time. But if you're at the startup level, it's also just as easy to come in here and in a few seconds, once a week or in the morning, update your, type in your update and boom, you're done kind of thing.
I think exactly what you're saying too. Even if you just batch your tasks, you could do that for 14 days. If you already have it written out, if I already have like a Google sheet and I just have a column, I can just copy and paste and put it into the queues, and then I'm good to go. So
yeah, and if you think about that, like let's say I wanted to fill in, 14 days of updates in here, right? Using the response handling, using this, you can route them around those later ones, so they don't hear those until the time, until the time is right, kind of thing. That makes a ton of sense. Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Dominic saying it's a good MVP. What I love about Dom, you're saying it about yourself is a good MVP. It's like me saying that I'm a very good looking man. Yeah. Of course it's evident if I say it. But thank you, Dom.
We'll see what the panelists say on Friday.
That's hilarious. Dom, thank you so much. No, it's really good stuff. And thank you. Welcome back into the chat. Thank you so much for being here.
Hey, Dom, good evening.
Yeah.
What is it? Late afternoon there, right?
Good times.
Early afternoon? I don't know.
Max, do you have 10, 15 minutes to do this last one? How's your time, Jose? How's
your
time?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I've got till 1:45, so all good.
Okay. All right, we're good on this. Great job. Again, thank you so much for everyone in the chat watching on D Live. Yeah, we're on D Live. We're on 7 different platforms right now. So wherever you're watching, thank you so much, Erica. Oh man, we got make money here, all this stuff. So let's go into this last experience. James mentioned it, and James also had the experience of making a video for an overview, but he should be in the chat as well. So wherever you want to go, Jose.
Okay, so before we dive into this, 2 things to just housekeeping stuff. First is, as Doc mentioned about 15, 20 minutes ago, the Doc versus the World promo, we're actually leaving, kind of allowing that to go till March 1st. So you can take care of that really, how would you label it? Really good pricing on the platform to test out your ideas, to dive into voice. So it's Doc vs the World, no space, all lowercase. And where you enter that is just when you hit your get started, when you're going through your voice app and you're testing it, you're doing that initial test, you get to the order form that kind of summarizes your new voice experience. There's a little, box in there to enter your promo code. So just wanted to get that out of the way, since we might have had some people join since we mentioned that earlier in our stream here. The second housekeeping thing is, how about you tell us, Doc, what was it James came into this challenge to create?
Okay, really good question. So let me bring this up right here.
Don't let him type anything now based on what we know he created. What did he submit as this challenge to create?
Okay, what did he submit? Okay, that's a whole other thing. So it was all had to do with education. So James is a speech pathologist and trying to help. And so really bridging the gap of having assignments for the students and for the parents to know what's going on, and having that. Now, that was the submission. It was always in that kind of realm. So that's what he submitted.
Okay.
This one is very specific about helping students with a very specific thing that they want to work with on speech. So this one is a stuttering test, I believe, to help the students to have, I guess, cues to be able to overcome that. So I believe that's what this voice experience is about. Now,
is that what he submitted like a few days ago, or are you pulling that from from what he's sharing with you now? Because
No,
I'm suspicious there.
No, he told me that on Sunday. He told me that during the hackathon. What he submitted, I mean, it was pretty ambitious. I'll have to look in Slack. But
okay, it's fine.
It was pretty ambitious.
All right, I got you. Because it's it's pretty on point to what he ended up with. So
I'll tell you what. Originally, he's like, I'm trying to connect Google Classroom and do a bunch of things. I was like, bro, like, yes, but that is a lot. I'm like, he's like, I want grading. I want for people to them speak and for me to get back their feedback. I'm like, that's a lot of moving parts right there. Possible, but I was like, stick with one thing and then build out your voice experience after that. So he had a really good idea of where he wanted to go. And we were talking about like telephone, like hearing back what they said, but we're like, there's a lot of other things, and how he was going to look at the grading with Google for the classroom. I was like, and then he settled on this. So
yeah, I mean, and what he ended up with could definitely grow, right? To be that bigger thing that his vision has. And that's just, for me as a, 4 or 5 time founder of a startup and being in business my whole life, like, it's great to have that bigger vision. Sometimes it's a little more manageable to take the smaller bites and build up to that vision. So definitely don't let go of that vision, James, if you're out there, because what you did end up with could very easily grow into that bigger vision. Little bit, just like 2-second thing to share is we actually did a similar POC for a local district here, where we integrated with Google Classroom to provide kind of updates on calendars and stuff like that. So definitely, if this is something you want to grow into something bigger, hook up with me later on and we can talk about, what it'll take to get you there, kind of thing. But all right, so let's test out what we've got right now, figure out what needs to be tweaked, and go from there. The experience that is unique about James is against the other two, Docs and Dominic's, is that James actually used his own voice. He leveraged our ability to upload your audio for these steps. And that adds a really personal touch, I think you'll find, that is a little bit different than when you use your device voice. So what is it again? Smooth speaking. Okay, Echo, open smooth speaking.
Welcome to Intro to Mindset Mastery from Smooth Speaking. Ready to get started?
Yes.
I will now explain how to navigate around the app. Please reply with an answer after I finish speaking. To hear what most stuttering therapy gets wrong, say hidden. To hear about the top myths about stuttering, say myths. To skip straight to the quiz, say quiz. And you can always say repeat to have any section repeated. Where would you like to go?
Let's take a quiz.
Now that we've gone over the factors that cause and aggravate stuttering, you're ready to do some self-reflection and take stock of your own attitudes toward your stuttering. Question for you. On a scale of 1 to 5, with 1 being completely disagreed and 5 being completely agreed, say the number that represents your answer. I feel like my stutter holds me back in life, either socially, with the relationships, or in my career. Answer now.
1.
Okay, you're doing great. Next question. On a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being completely disagreed and 5 being completely agreed, rate how you feel about the following statement. I feel like I have the tools I need to control my stuttering and not let my stutter control me. Answer now.
3.
On a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being completely disagreed and 5 being completely agreed, say the number that represents your answer after I read the following question. I don't say what I want out of fear of stuttering. Answer now.
1.
All right, last question. On a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being completely disagreed and 5 being completely agreed, rate how you feel about the following statement. I am motivated to get help in addressing my stuttering, from the mechanical physical parts to feeling socially free beneath the surface.
5.
Thank you for taking the time to give me some background information and take this journey with me. You are taking your first step to expressing yourself with ease. And if you're ready to address stuttering from the inside out, look out for my next emails where I'll send tips and tricks as well as dates for our upcoming coaching sessions. If you prefer one-on-one help or just have a question, please do not hesitate to shoot me an email directly. Either way, I'm happy to assist you, as self-expression is a human right and you shouldn't feel stifled any longer. So thanks, and I look forward to talking to you soon. All the best.
No passing judgment right now. We're saving that for Friday. Now, the one thing I will say is I messed us up a bit. So when I was listening to these things earlier, I fixed one problem of his that I forgot to put back in. and so we didn't get a chance to actually tweak anything on his, but it's super important. I'm kicking myself in the butt because it's really important in how we set these things up, that one mistake he made. So I'm going to share what the mistake was, and it tells a little bit about how the platform works, and it's also somewhat detailed in response handling guide. Now, I want to hear from James, like, did he go through every single AMA we did and every our live hackathon thing that we did a couple weeks? Because he had like one issue with his voice experience. Everything else was perfect.
Listen. I will check, but listen, he even used Market Plan. The one that I was playing out, like he would use every platform. I was like, daggone. He watched a large portion because I told him to watch our session, and then he planned out his entire landing page and how to get them to opt in and then go into the voice experience and be on his mailing list. So
all right, we're not passing judgment, so let's leave it at that. We'll save that for Friday. But here's the one mistake he made. So you see how we've got this any response here at the end, right? So that's your catch-all for that first question, which is great. He had another catch-all right after the myths. So what that was causing was it ended up, if you said quiz or anything like that, you ended up going to the catch-all that had to do with myths, right? So it wasn't getting you to the right spot. All you had to do was get rid of that catch-all, and the experience was perfectly fine. So I'm sorry that I didn't put it back in there. I'm kicking myself in the butt because I really want to just kind of see how that experience plays out on both sides, when it's there and when you take it out. But what I do want to share is when you're seeing these, right, when you've got look at James, he's got 9 keywords in here or key phrases, right? The system AI, what we call our response analysis and validation engine, or RAV for short, it evaluates these in the order that you put them in. So kind of the order that you put them in is almost like the routing priority. Follow? So because he had a catch-all right after the myths step, it was using that first before it got to his final catch-all, which is the one he probably, really wanted in that. So you can't have, so that's the first thing. And when you're leveraging our platform under response handling, you can't have multiple catch-alls for obvious reasons. You want to have, your catch-all is kind of like one catch-all. You've got everything else, and you've got one catch-all, and you want to make sure you place that catch-all in a place that's appropriate to the rest of your entries. Usually it's your last thing because you want it to be evaluated last. But yeah, other than that, like, he knocked it up. I'm gonna shut up.
Stop being biased.
That was the only thing I had to tweak on that voice experience. Yeah.
That's great. No, listen, thank you for
I'm actually glad it
that.
worked out with my little spinner thingy here.
Yeah.
That he was the last one we were going to do today because
if he
really
was first,
build up to that.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Jose. No. It was. Listen. Again, first of all, I'm not even allowed to vote because I was in it. But I just want to say congratulations for the ones that didn't get to finish. First of all, you learn so much more during this process and understand what's going on. But also the ones, Dom, James, all of you have put in so much time and effort, really good stuff. And I love how in different ways you could be using this platform and leverage. I mean, and James, if you're doing that and you're already a therapist, think about if you have this system, you could go to other therapists, rinse and repeat this. And now that's another stream of income where you're either giving another school these type of tools or another therapist, another way for their practice. I see this as being a huge generator for your own business right there and start making money off of this. So, Max, what do you think about wrap up? What do you think about this? How did you feel about this?
Yeah, it's actually, yeah, really like excited me to the possibilities of voice in no code. It's very much still like a niche. Like no one in no code at the moment, or at least very little amounts of people are actually like leveraging this technology. And to see James do it in that way in the space of 72 hours is just like wow. And all like barring the minor hiccup that Jose sorted out pre-demo. I was just like in awe of it when it was going through. So yeah, big up James for doing that, and the social impact that has as well is big. So yeah, I'm excited to see that like grow, scale, and like get into the hands of more people.
Yeah, and first of all, I'd like to say Max is biased too because he's one of his students from 100 Days of No Code. So, but no.
Look, don't call me out like that.
He totally threw you under the bus there. Beep, beep.
Oh man, you know what? It's really like you have to imagine this. James is really fresh. Like you have to see like. He's really fresh into no code. And for him to do that really quickly, I just think it speaks to the level of what I really liked about True Reply. Also in my head, I like it. You were talking about it's a conversation workflow. I also see it being some of the best assessments. I see it being used like type form or paper form for me to understand the conditional logic of what's happening. And now it feels even more personal. I love how James used his own voice. And first of all, that's a smooth voice right there. So it added the impact. And now that also added like I knew him. And so if I'm looking or I'm trying to have a connection with a therapist, I would go, this is just a side point and I'll stop. I'll shut up. The reason I love this so much, I had a horrible stutter. I could not speak until I was about 6 or 7. I was in speech therapy from 4 until 9 years old. And having a therapist that is good and understands how to connect with a kid, it means their life. It means what they can do in life. So when I heard about this project, you're going to affect a lot of people. You're already doing that right now with your job, but I love this experience. I think it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So
just real quick to jump in here before we wrap up. First, it really was a minor change, Max. It wasn't a big change. It was a totally minor change. It was literally if one of these boxes was in the wrong spot, you just need to delete it. But I actually wanted to ask you, Max, because first of all, you don't have the benefit of really being deep into voice, right? So I think my question is going to be very interesting to hear your answer. And second, today you got to hear the difference of experience of hearing like a device voice and hearing the person's voice coming out of the device. So can you kind of just give us like a quick reflection on how you felt one versus the other, having experienced the first two and then that last one?
Yeah, it is weird. Like I was like way more engaged with the with James's voice, like a real voice, as opposed to like a computer like generated one. Like it was like leagues apart. So I'd be really curious to know like what the engagement levels are for like the computer based versus human interactions voice churns out, because I was way more engaged and like listening. Not that I wasn't listening on the other ones, but like I was literally like just like
he's backing up that bus now, Max.
I know.
I think he missed you the first time, so now he's backing it up a little bit. Make sure you get the
going at me today. No, it's good. It's all good. He's good. Yeah. But yeah, no, I was just like, yeah, if I was going to do it now, like me joining like True Reply or something else, I would certainly be doing it in my voice. Absolutely. Yeah.
Good times.
Cool.
Good
Cool.
times.
Excellent. All right. So we've got, I guess we can wrap up and say that we've got the three, right? We've recorded the 3 voice experiences to their endpoint. So like, that's what really the community should be voting on, is those 3 endpoints that we reached for those voices. And then what's next, Doc, in this process?
Next steps. Oh, and when you get a moment too, Jose, could you stop sharing your screen just for a moment?
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry.
No big deal. No big deal.
Yeah.
No, this is great. And I think, thank you so much. And the audience has been great. Thank you for holding in. You know, we said like, this might take like half an hour. So you watched this whole thing, but it was great because now it was really in depth, and people watching, they were asking good questions, really going into this. So we just thank you for being here. The next steps, what you're going to be seeing, you're going to be seeing a comedy. You're going to be seeing a community post.
I think they just watched one.
Yeah. Enjoy it. Just bask in what just happened. Community posts on YouTube. If you're on the YouTube channel, you're going to be seeing that. You're going to be able to click it. It's going to be available in about an hour. You can upvote the different projects that you want, that you think should be there, right? So if you're saying, hey, I like this one, please vote for the one that you would choose overall. Also, too, if you're on the mailing list, you're going to be getting an email with this experience as well. So you can review this, see which ones you like, and then vote accordingly as well. If you're on Twitter, if you're on Instagram, whatever, you can always just @ me and just say which ones you want to vote for. It doesn't matter. We're just looking at wherever you are and you want to vote, let me know. And we're going to be having the right tabs for the scores. Now, this is going to be open from today. Today is Tuesday. It's going to be open all the way until Friday before we have the panelist discussion, and then they're going to weigh in and talk about their voting. We're going to do it live. You can come back. We're going to be on all the platforms. You can do all of those things. So it's open until this week. Now, if you are Dom, James, myself, if you want to have more support, share this video, share the project, tell people, give them the link to vote for you. And again, that's going to be counted as well. The panelists, they will make their decision. And again, that's going to be a weighted score as well. So it's going to be based on the crowd and what the panelists say. And that will be the winner of Doc versus the World. So that's what we've got coming up this week. Jose, anything that I miss? Any other things that we should have?
No, that's definitely good. I just want to one more time mention that the Doc versus the World promo is going to be available to you until March 1st. So it's definitely something that for the no-code community, for anyone who wants to leverage voice, this is your chance to do so with like 0 excuses. I mean, I think it works out to like less than a cup of coffee a day, like a quarter of a cup of coffee a day or something, if you did the math. But it really is your opportunity to experiment with voice and launch an experience. And that's Doc versus the World, no space. You use that when you go to order your voice experience. But I just want to make sure that gets out there because it is a great opportunity for anyone in your communities.
Excellent.
So, but other than that, awesome. I think we had a great time today.
This is excellent. So if you guys hold on real quick, we're going to end the stream and all of those things. Again, thank you wherever you're watching, Periscope, Twitch, DLive, all of those other platforms, YouTube. Thank you so much for being here, and we will see you later. Take care.